Everyone, thank you for attending. Like Arnie mentioned, we will be speaking today with Will Doherty. We are part of the business consultant team. He's a global lead, and I'm a business consultant. And the idea today is to talk about automation of batches and improving yields. And one way that we think about this is levels of automation. We can be looking at, and it could be within the same plant, it could be across different plants around the globe. You could have a more manual process where you have raw material ingredients that are being added in the case of something like this sample for a paint making. They could be added to a mixer, and then they could be, once the process is completed, that mixed whip can go into a storage bowl. Then on the other end, you have a more 80% or over, I would say, automated process where you can still have the raw materials, but in this case, they're automatically being added to the mixing tank. After the process is completed, then this can again automatically go into a storage tank. Of course, there's a hybrid processes as well, and we can help with those too. But at least we wanted to highlight these two ends of the spectrum and how the Prophecy software suite can help address those needs and requirements. At a very high level, if we think of this at the architectural level, the main focus today for us will be with the Prophecy batch execution and what we call Prophecy Bond applications, our main Prophecy software for manufacturing execution systems. So we'll be talking about your level 3. We'll be doing a mention to CSense and Scheduler as well, as they can definitely add value to the topic that we're discussing today. Regarding automated batching, the main concept of why would you want to add this to your tools that you have available is increasing product quality, right, by making sure that you are able to consistently produce and follow a certain set of steps in a certain manner, as well as efficiency and reducing waste and cost. Now, how we can help with Prophecy batch execution, what is it? You have an application, the client server, that can control equipment phases for batch manufacturing. This means you can update code in the batch software product, and you don't necessarily have to go all the way down to the machine level. You are able to use this product to manufacture a range of products across multiple industries. And the consistency aspect comes because you're going to have access to the recipes that you've created. And there's different things that you can have defined in there, such as parameters and values. You can scale. There's a lot of things that you can have at your disposal so that you are able to better control and keep an eye on your process and your data in order to make actionable business decisions. And the idea always, of course, being that we are empowering owners to deploy this as well as to being able to have quick access and visibility into their processes and their data. Why choose us? It's very easy to write, schedule, and execute your recipes. These recipes, again, could have the highly automated variant. You could have a hybrid, like I was mentioning, such as a combination of, let's say you have out of your 4 raw material ingredients, 3 that you add automatically, and maybe 1 for some reason you need to add manually. You can have a prompt, for example, pop up for your operator at the time that this is needed, and they can enter a value and continue with the rest of the process. The recipes can include formulations, procedures, and equipment requirements, such as capacity constraints. It's based on the S88 model and class standards, and it was designed to address 21 CFR Part 11 regulations through being able to use electronic signatures, auditing, and version control. Some cool things that have come up recently with our iBatch product is you have the capability to visualize the data now within Operations Hub. So if you're familiar with our manufacturing execution software, you know that the goal is to have our visualization into Operations Hub throughout the different products, and this includes batch. So 13 widgets were added, and this is basically client functionality. So in order for you to be able to start, stop, run batches, to view your recipe, to have access to SFC or step controls, you're able to do all these things through the widgets, through HTML5, and through OpsHub. And the other side to this is that this app is included REST API. So it is possible to interact with batch using REST API calls. There's many of them available. And you go back to what you need to do to interact with this process, to interact with this batch. It could be functionality such as stopping, starting, pausing. Maybe it was supposed to be an automated part of your process, but a sensor is not working quite right, so you need to regain control. You can do that. Alarming as well. And of course, your execution status, keeping track of that. Any questions this far?
Nie.
So that is regarding the batch automation and being able to keep consistency of your processes and improve quality and being able to reduce waste and downtime through automation, through iBatch. Now, there's different ways in which prophecy plan applications can also assist, and one of them is efficiency management. You may be familiar with some of our out-of-the-box dashboards, such as this one, which is the OEE one, where you can keep track of OEE for your lines and your units, as well as the main components of OEE at a glance, quality, performance, availability. You are able to have, depending on your configuration, a lot of this data coming in automatically as well as manually, or a mix of both. And this could be, for example, you may be able to have some data coming in from your machines. Let's say that you have some reason codes, and maybe you have level 1 or 2 for your downtime that are coming in through automatically, but you may want to add some of them manually, maybe level 3 or levels 3 and 4. You can do a combination such as that one. The idea also, and I'm going to be talking a little bit later about Prophecy Analyzer, is that you are able to take a look and start digging deeper and maybe trying to find root causes for things that may be happening in your process that are not as expected. And such as this OEE, there's also, for example, a reports dashboard and other dashboards available for you to be able to quickly view at a glance what's going on the plant floor, with maybe slightly different ways of showing this data that can be more useful to different roles. Maybe an operator persona is it is more helpful for them to view certain dashboards where the data is regarding the actual process execution, where a supervisor may want to look at some higher level things, such as, for example, these OEE dashboards. Another way.
Back on that OEE dashboard for a sec. So if you have a batching system that can do one batch every 4 hours or something like that, this kind of reporting will let you just know how well you're actually utilizing that equipment. So are you doing a batch every 5 hours or every 4 hours, or did you have a problem with quality with one of the batches where you have to scrap the batch and start again? So this is like a complement to that batch execution product you were showing earlier?
Right. And when I go into the analyzer, you can see how you can get, for example, something like a golden batch and analyze data that you have in your MES system against that as well. The idea is that you can see your batch data from iBatch and are able to further contextualize it.
Cool.
Regarding quality management, again, some other functionality that blend applications can definitely help with. There's quite a bit that can be done, and the main goal here is right the first time. So again, we go back to the same threads, improved quality, lowering waste and downtime. And for quality in this case, you can see at the top right of the screen, we have what an alarm can look like to an operator. If you look at the little symbol with the red dot, you can click on it and it further expands into this pop-up, and you can very quickly acknowledge it or take a look into some of the data that you have in there. There's also an alarming dashboard, and the idea is that you are collecting data from your process execution, and this data can be collected manually, automatically, or it can be a combo of both. For example, in this case, you can see on the screen that speed and temperature are both automatically sent, in this case, through a historian tag. And then you have others, such as the quality portion, in which, in this simulated case, it would be an operator manually entering data into the system. You have that as manual inputs. There's a lot of things in here you can see at a glance. You can configure these colors to be something that would help you quickly see if something is within or outside of range. You can have different types of data. It could be numeric, it could be text, it could be a custom dropdown, whatever would make it easier or best suit the data. You can see to the right that you have your limits. And I will talk about that in a second. But the one thing I wanted to point out here is also we have electronic signature available. You can have one or two levels. One level could be operator level, and then two could be potentially an operator and supervisor. And you have the option to configure it either way. There's other pieces of functionality in here. Wherever you see this comment symbol, you can enter something that could help you communicate maybe with the next shift operator. It could be something like a picture. You could be marking something in there and saying, hey, does this look right? You could be attaching a file. You could be writing a comment. You could even have a little video in there. If you see here, let's note that on the lower and upper rejects and warnings, we have a numeric input or way of visualizing it. You can see in here that the specifications are in a chart form, and that is something that you can update very quickly by clicking in here and just making a different selection of chart or specification limits. Regarding specifications themselves, they can be defined as a combination of material, variables, or products. You can have your target, of course, and then different lower and upper, for example, it could be a warning, it could be rechecks. Like I said, some of this data can be automatically entered in the system. It could be coming from PLCs, historians, SCADA. It could also be manual.
Hey, Lulu, we have one question on the chat.
Yes.
Does the automate batches only work with the operation hub? If so, which version?
No, it can work on its own. And this came out with 2022. So I would say that or over. The benefit of having this together with, I would say, prophecy plan applications or our smart factory, right, that would include Operations Hub is, like I mentioned, the fact that you have the HTML5 visibility. If you're already using Operations Hub, then it's just one more thing that you can have available, and you don't have to be switching between different, screens or dashboards or systems. You can also have this data, like I was saying, further contextualized, because you would be having other out-of-the-box functionality available through using Plan applications. And if you were thinking of integration or doing anything through using REST APIs, then that's another benefit. All right, so we can track conformance and manage exceptions. And the idea is here that, like I mentioned, you can have your targets, your rejects, your warnings, and if anything is out of spec, then you can take this data and you're able to use alarming to notify maybe a person or a group of people and try to help move the process along and make the needed decisions. And the idea being that you don't have to wait until something has finished and kind of do a post-mortem, but ideally you're able to get this data in real time and be able to take action. Regarding alarming, I show what that pop-up can look like. I also mentioned that there's an alarming dashboard out of the box, and this is what it looks like. And you can have this data coming into the system automatically. You can also add some of it manually, like I mentioned. If you go straight into the alarms dashboard, you're going to see this table format at the top where you can visualize all the alarms available in the system or open. And once you double click in each row, then you can see further details if you had different reasons, if you had any comments, or if you wanted to add them, then you can have all this information in here. You can see here, you're going to see this comment symbol throughout our product, and that's just to signify that you're able to take advantage of this capability and make any notes or any write down any sort of information that could be helpful to share with your team.
Another question on the chat, Lulu, are there audit trails available for the specification modifications?
So any value that you update within the system, you have an audit trail for. If the record is kept and you know who did it, you know what the value was updated to and at what time, that kind of information.
Yeah, so the specifications are updated and you can see who made the modification. There's also a cool feature where you can say, I want to update the specifications at the end of the month. So you can put them in now, but they won't actually take effect until sometime in the future. So there's a full audit trail and a lot of flexibility with how your specifications work. Another thing that's kind of cool is you can actually have different specifications for the same product on different pieces of equipment. So if you have a really great piece of equipment, you can have tighter specs. And then if you have an older piece of equipment, you can have looser specs. So you can say, when I make this product on this older piece of equipment, I don't have to make as perfect a product, but when I make it on the new equipment, I make it even better. So there's a lot of cool stuff around that specification management.
Another feature regarding alarming is, or I should say quality, dashboarding is SPC. We're able to view this data using Operations Hub. You can see to the left the data, and to the right we have examples of an X bar and a sigma graph. And the idea here being that once you can start seeing these patterns, you don't have to wait again until something is completely off. You can start taking action beforehand, and having this data collected and visualized in this manner can help you catch those challenges. I mentioned this briefly before, Process Analyzer, and one of the questions in the chat was regarding, again, we have how do these products work together? And this is a great way in which they do. You can have your batch data, right, and accessible to you. For example, in this dashboard, you can see a few drop downs at the top. And the idea is that you can have a golden batch. Let's say you have marked down a batch as being as close to perfect, as you can have. And you can have the data stored in the system. And then you see that, today, for some reason, this product seems quite off, and you want to see what's going on. You can use that golden batch, and you can select the new batch. Maybe you're thinking that there's one or two different variables that you have configured that can help you find some sort of dig deeper or find a root cause, you can add all of that together, and you can see in here what that can look like. You have the batches, you have the variables, and you can start seeing maybe your temp for your golden batch was, given values, and then you can see a slight difference with your temp for your batches didn't go as well, and you can start trying to figure out what could have made or caused that difference. But the idea, again, is you have certain challenges and you have different solutions working well together to provide insight into your process and try to help make those decisions based on what you see in real time. And another way that we can also think of, right, because there's just different layers and different pieces of the puzzle that help you improve this throughput. And one of them can also be scheduler. It can be, whether it is capacity constraints, it can help with maybe you know that you had a great plan, but your inventory is not going to be ready when you thought it would be, or someone calls in sick, and that definitely will impact for this given process, how long it will take for you to get where you want it to be. Scheduling can help with all of those and can help you just by tweaking and playing around, seeing what different decisions that you can be making can impact the reality of the plant floor processes. So this is another great way that you can explore on how to help improve that throughput. And like we said, right, there's from the fully automated and iBatch, you can also have that integration with MES and have efficiency management and quality management. You can have process analyzer, scheduler, and then there's one more that's cSense. Will, over to you.
Oh, yeah. So I think, Lulu's been highlighting a lot of the cool stuff around how you can schedule a bunch of batches and you can have batch execution automatically execute those batches. And then you'll be taking quality samples and everything else during those batches to make sure that you're meeting spec and you're not making bad product. So all of that's very cool. And then this is our advanced analytics. And really, if you do have batches that you're interested in trying to figure out how to get your yields up and how to more optimally run them, or maybe even how to improve your recipe around what temperatures and what settings do I actually make for my batches and my recipes, this is software where you can actually get that batch data that you have for historical batches, maybe your golden batches or other batches, and you can put it into our software here, and it will build a model for how is that batch running, and how, when you change the temperature, how does that affect maybe some of the product quality, or how, if you change the speed of your mixer, does that affect product quality? So things like that. And then you can actually kind of use this software to run what if scenarios. So what happened if I actually, if I filled the tank quicker, would that change anything? What would happen if I ramped up the temperature quicker? What would happen if I held the temperature for longer? And you can kind of see how that might be affecting some things like your product quality or the speed at which your batch completes. So again, a way you can actually use kind of advanced analytics and AI to actually look at your historical batches and help you optimize how you're going to start making those batches in the future. And a lot of the stuff, it can be in the food and bev industries, right? It can be pharmaceutical or biotech industries, right? It can be in steel making, anything where you're actually making batches, maybe specialty chemicals, things like that. So I think anywhere where you're making batches and you kind of have a more automated system where you're getting good data off of the equipment and maybe some manually entered data from the lab and stuff like that, where you can kind of pull all that data together to start modeling and improving, especially if you're doing a lot of new product introductions or you're having yield issues. Something like this can really, really be helpful in getting your yields up and speeding up that new product introduction, where you can get that recipe dialed in a lot quicker by not having to do a whole bunch of batching. You can kind of make some simulations here to speed up that process.
And last but not least, there's a quick survey. If you would be so inclined to take it, would be very helpful. We like to improve what we do. We like to hear from you and see what else we could bring to you that could be useful or valuable. So if you have a few minutes, please go ahead and scan and just try to take that one real quick. Will be much appreciated.